So there was a lot of whiplash earlier this morning for Haikyuu fans. You had those that saw the announcement trailer that came out, which I'm going to show you right here, that came out, and people were excited at first. Then all of a sudden they start to realize what the true meaning of this trailer was and what it meant for the future of the Haikyuu anime. And I kind of want to go over everything that came out earlier this morning because obviously there's kind of a lot to talk about, and it just goes to show once again that sometimes these companies that grab these series that are even popular sometimes don't care about how it's going to conclude because they're moving on to their potential next project. Now, let's get everybody up to speed. Haikyuu. It's a sports manga series that you can see right here that was in Weekly Shonen Jump for a while, and it ended rather recently in 2020, July 20th, 2020, a few years back, with 407 chapters. Quite a bit. Honestly, a lot of chapters for a sports manga, 45 volumes, a very successful manga. And everything I've heard from readers of the manga, like, I'm going to keep it real, I'm not a manga reader, I don't know how the ending is, etc., so I'm strictly anime only. But everything I have heard as someone that is in the anime manga community and has heard things and all that, I have heard nothing but praise for the Haikyuu manga. People have said it's easily one of the best manga endings, at least in Weekly Shonen Jump for a long-running sports series. It's really good. Like, that's all I've ever heard. I literally always hear nothing but praise and positives for the manga's ending, which is something that I think many of us have just, are excited to hear, because it's like, with constant failures of endings, or at least endings that seem to just fumble and not relatively be that good, at least a lot of the community disagrees with some of the endings, it's nice to see a manga have a relatively, decent ending that the community can agree upon and say, this is good. And so obviously with, the stuff with Haikyuu, there's been anime that's been coming out for years now. We've had different seasons, as you can see here, just multiple different seasons. And basically they have been very high quality, very high budget, a lot of passion, a lot of work into it, good voice acting. I've talked about it and reviewed Haikyuu's anime in the past. I love Haikyuu. It's a really good show. 100% I recommend it as as a fan. Like, it's really good. But the thing is obviously ever since the end of Season 4, there was some mixed reception to Season 4. I forget if it was the first part or second part, but basically in Season 4 of Haikyuu, there was some moments throughout the season's airing that felt a little bit weird. Like, there was some animation moments, some stills, etc. that felt very off in comparison to, let's say, the previous seasons. Now, nothing too drastic, just gonna keep it real, nothing drastic that ruined episodes or ruined Season 4, nothing like that, but there was some oddities about the previous season that aired. And obviously Blu-rays, etc. can easily fix that up, so it's nothing too big. But obviously there was some reception to the anime because of that, but overall it was still a very solid season. So ever since basically Season 4 came to an end, people have been waiting for the announcement of Season 5, more information on that, but also for, whatever's going to happen with the movies. Because apparently it's been public knowledge for a while now that there was movies coming for Haikyuu. There wasn't a lot of information about it, and people assumed the Season 5 was also coming. But that's the whiplash that everybody had today, was that there is no Season 5 announcement, and it's straight up just going to be 2 movies, which here I want to pull up right here. It's just literally 2 movies that they're making, and let's talk about why people are upset about this. So, according to some of the posts here, that one of these posts here, this is someone talking about it real quick. Apparently, there is 5 arcs left for the anime to cover, with 110 chapters left to adapt, and they're wanting to do that in just 2 movies. Now, basically, once again, as someone that's an anime only, and I've heard nothing but praise from manga readers that the anime has been perfectly paced, everything's done very well. The Haikyuu's had very solid production, everything. And hearing that they're going to be adapting 2 movies with 5 arcs, that, as someone that knows, how this is done with chapters, etc. I've seen a lot of anime try to shove 100 chapters in a short time frame. it's definitely not going to turn out too well. There's definitely going to be a lot of cut content. There's definitely going to be things missing. Definitely things are not going to be properly explained, etc. And I heard that there's like 3 big games that are supposed to happen. And anyone that, knows anything about Haikyuu, the final match is probably going to be the main build-up match. It's been building up basically since Season 1, like the Grudge rematch and all that. That's kind of what's been building up for a very long time. And so the fact is that they have 5 arcs to cover with just 2 movies. There's not going to be a Season 5. There definitely is not enough time to cover all that. They're going to just have to do like a montage for maybe 2 of these arcs just to properly cover everything. But, let's talk about some of the things that people's reactions is. So if you go to this Reddit post, you can see people's reactions overall is mostly negative, and then you have like anime onlys asking what's going on, and then saying they're going to jump on the manga, etc. It basically shows that the general reception to this overall news is very, very negative. You can find it all over social media, Reddit, etc. I'm assuming Mal probably has forums that's doing the exact same thing. There's a lot of people that are just genuinely upset with this because it's like, 2 movies, if they're normal average length of about maybe an hour, 40 minutes, maybe even 2 hours, that's still not enough time, because you got to factor this in. A normal anime episode is about 18 to 20 minutes long, if we're cutting out, like, the opening ending song, and if you think about a movie, that's like, let's say an hour and a half, 40-minute movie, that's about, 5 episodes, 6, maybe slightly into 7, but that's not a lot of episodes, especially to try to cover 5 arcs. That's just one movie if it's like, an hour 30, hour 40. And then another movie that's coming out, another time frame like that, that's like another 6 episodes. So it's like a 12 episode to maybe a 14 episode season trying to compress 5 arcs into it, and that's usually not going to go good. That's not. Most of the time, a 12-episode series can probably fit in maybe 3 arcs, and even then, that feels like it's pushing it sometimes. So, yeah. There's a lot to really think about, and as someone that's watched the Haikyuu anime, it's incredibly sad to see this news, because it's like, they've been so consistent and doing so well with Haikyuu for a very long time, and to see this decision, the only thing that comes to mind of why they're doing this is because there's no more money to really be made from the series, and hear me out, there's a few reasons, actually. I'll talk about that one I've just mentioned, but also the other reason. There technically is money still to be made, okay? I guess I'll get into the last one. And basically, the money to be made is the fact that movies for anime are definitely more popular. Like Jujutsu Kaisen, recently, Demon Slayer, the Dragon Ball movie, to My Hero Academia. We have seen that movies for anime have definitely been very successful in terms of money making. And so because of that, this has obviously been a big thing. There's been a huge shift in making shows and turning in arcs and stuff into movies. We have definitely seen this with the times recently. Ever since basically Demon Slayer really made it popular. I mean, we can argue maybe Dragon Ball Broly did it, but we can also say that Demon Slayer is pretty much what made way for stuff like this. And so ever since then, a lot of these different companies are trying to, kind of pick from the pot and be like, hey, let's make a movie for the final arc, etc., and that's what we have going on right now. That's one reason probably for this. But another reason is because Haikyuu, as I kind of already showed you, the Haikyuu manga is done. It's over. And so technically anyone that is already kind of a big fan of the manga is already a fan, and they probably have already bought the volumes, etc., since it's already been a few years since it ended. So there's not going to be a whole bunch of people really jumping in and newcomers to Haikyuu buying the entire series. It's relatively kind of reached almost, maybe not max, but almost its maximum of new people that are really probably going to get into it, since it's basically at the end of its story. So they might be just thinking like, well, we got all we can, we juiced this series dry as much as we can, let's move on to the next product. That's basically what could be going on here. Obviously that seems very cynical or a very dark way to look at it, but there is definitely reasons probably to think that, because, like, why would a company want to put even more resources into something that is basically already at the end of its life cycle and they could just go into the next project? It's the truth. So there's multiple ways to think about this and multiple reasons why it's happening, etc. But regardless, it looks like it's sad for Haikyuu fans that we're probably not going to get the ending that this series deserves in anime format, especially since the manga was just so well received. But I guess I'm going to leave the video at that. thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and I gave you any form of new information, etc., please do drop me a like. It does help me out a lot, and I would, greatly appreciate it. But with that, guys, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.